Good looking now, G.
Everybody ever tell you that he made you beautiful, beautiful. Everybody ever tell you that God made you beautiful, beautiful.
Hey there, excuse me, miss. No disrespect, you're very precious.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Hype. Fatherless homes seem to be the new norm in this country, especially in the African American community. While there are many strong mothers working overtime to create happy, healthy lives for their children, you can't deny that dad's absence does have a big impact on a child's development. So where is the dad? Why isn't he around? And how exactly does a dad's absence affect a child's mental, emotional, physical, and social health? We will discuss these questions and more when we speak with our special guest about life without dad. Stay tuned. The Hype begins right after this.
Don't walk. Don't walk. Walk. Do not enter. Hot dogs. Definitely like hot dogs. Motorcycle club. Everything must go. Ghostly ghouls. Don't look at that, Teddy. Body piercing. Ouch.
Everyday moments can become teaching moments because learning starts long before school does. Give your child the start they need at bornlearning.org.
Are you a local artist and you would like to have your music featured on The Hype? Well, we might be looking for you. We're looking for respectful hip-hop, R&B and soul, dance and house music, inspirational music, and rock and pop. Please send us the following. We need 5 pictures, 5 edited tracks, 1 music video if you have it, and a bio of the artist. Send it to thehypetvshow@gmail.com.
Welcome back. Make sure you guys give love to The Hype's DJ 007 spinning the music of artists from the Philly area. Today, the Hype Squad includes my co-host Courtney and Akil, who make sure the audience has a chance to ask questions. Now, I would like to welcome our special guest, Joel Austin, founder of Daddy University. I'm about to just call you Daddy. Now you know why we're doing the show. So, Joel, tell us how you got into becoming the founder of Daddy University.
I founded Daddy University roughly around 2004. We are a male parenting education company. After my first child, I found out how much I didn't know. So I started researching how to be a better father and how to do certain things. And I found out how lack of information there was for male parents. I was even struggling with how to do the whole diaper change thing. The more I researched, the more I found out there was a need for it. The more there's a need, there's a business. And I took business management at Chain University. So one thing led to another. There was the founding of Daddy University.
Wow, that's awesome. So, our episode is discussing the absence of fathers. What do you think drives this lack of responsibility with men who decide that they don't want to be a part of their children's life?
When you talk about fatherlessness, that means that the father is absolutely, positively nowhere around and not in the child's life. Some people confuse that with not having a dad, or sometimes he's there on the weekends.
Right.
Fatherlessness is the absolute absence of a father, just to be clear.
Right.
When you talk about the drive came a long time ago. I'm 46, and back in, that means about 50 years ago, we weren't even as loud as men to even see our children be born. So we had a disconnect from the beginning. We worked, you guys made biscuits, and that was the way it was. But nowadays, things have changed. But there's still some disconnect. When you talk about holding a child, caring for a child, there's still a lot of people that don't think that we can manage it, which when you walk around the city, you find out we can. I see the toughest brothers with Dora the Explorer.
So a lot of this, with this fatherlessness, they say it's a cycle within generations and it repeats itself.
Yes.
So what do you think validates this continued cycle?
The continued cycle mostly has to do around education. I find that most of the males that I've encountered that are still uncomfortable going back to their family or introducing themselves back to their family came out of it from fear. Fear of the burden, fear of not being able to do the job correctly, fear of sometime a disconnect. And there's sometime somehow the feminist movement made a mistake in saying that they didn't have to be there or didn't need to be there. There are even some parts of our government that say that you can't have a successful family live in the same home, specifically if you're on Section 8. So there's parts of it that disconnects our family. The other part is just actually having a child, not out of love, but with someone you absolutely positively don't know. And that's when I end up with clients that are really trying to reconnect and get back. A lot of my fathers are in the picture and want more time. The other part are trying to get back.
So a lot of people sometimes, they just can't fathom how a man can just up and leave and be apart from his child. And so it brings up to the question, are men, predisposed to leaving? Is there something biological about them seeming less attached to their child than the mother?
I would say absolutely no. Okay. I have 4 children, 3 sons and my daughter, and I have always felt connected. I've always felt that it was my duty, it was my honor. And the other thing is, to be honest with you, I wanted to be a father. We are oftentimes looking at males who absolutely positively should not have been and never did want to be a father that are leaving. Then we involve issues like miseducation. We involve fear. We're talking about feelings of stress and anxiety and people putting a lot of stressors on you. 2 things happen when you come up with stress. Either you find yourself as a man to challenge those stress and overcome it, or you run the other direction looking for something easier way. Our job now as males in the community or our dads are to grab those nervous ones, stressful ones, and say, no, it's okay. We can handle this. There's services, there's resources. Turn around, come back, and we can all do this together.
So with some of these one-parent homes, though they may be able to provide financially and things like that, what are the real effects on a child with growing up with one parent and it not being their father?
We can go over the statistics all day.
Yeah. Tell us. Some people really don't know.
They really don't.
62% of all teenagers that are out here murdering people come from fatherless homes. Wow. 70% of all juveniles that are currently locked up or incarcerated come from fatherless homes. 60% of all rapists come from fatherless homes. A fatherless home accounts for the dropout rate. Fatherless homes counts for the social behavior. If you don't have a father and he's totally absent, you're 11 times more likely to have poor social behavior. And specifically in boys, you're 10 times more likely to have violence, specifically violence against women. So we can do this all day, but we know that, not to get scientific, but 26 chromosomes come from dad, 26 chromosomes comes from mom, and then you have this whole child. But without it, you always feel an emptiness, maybe a piece of self-esteem, a lack of encouragement. And then the other thing is in a single-parent home where it'd be mother and father, that means you really only know half the child. And sometimes, unbeknownst to us or unknowing to us, we end up squashing something great. Wow. So the dad may be an artist, and we're always saying stop drawing on the walls, but we don't know that side, so we didn't encourage it.
Somebody could have been there to help that flourish. Somebody could have been there and
say, no, give that boy as much crayons as he possibly can and paint the whole room white. We need to be able to two-sidedly encourage this, and that's what makes what we call a whole child.
Now, what if a man decides he has acknowledged the fact that he is in the wrong for having been absent from his child's life?
Absolutely.
What advice would you give to someone like that who wants to make amends with the child and the mother, because the mother hurt from this too?
Yes. We have a lot of dynamics with this, and we don't have time to get into that. There are some homes that have been brought up generationally by women who don't want men in that home and somehow have been pushed them away. There are homes that men have specifically been away from their family, so the child now that has had a child doesn't see his need or his role. Any male that has left does not understand what his role and how powerful he is to raising a child. To get the beauty of that, even though that's all messed up and hurtful and bitterness and anger, children are always still waiting for a phone call. Children are always still waiting for a letter. They're always still waiting for one of the biggest things that men fail to do, which is apologize. They're
Yes.
always still waiting for you to step in and say, because that is that other side of their personality, to say, I'm sorry. And they always waiting for a reason. I mean, sometimes there's no excuse, but sometimes there are strong reasons. Illness is a strong reason. Addiction is a strong reason. Mental health is a strong reason.
Yes.
I mean, I was looking at TV and I felt as though DMX was right. He should not have been around his kid. His kid may not be as positive as he has. There are some who, when you find out the reason, it's more easier to do what other people need to do, which is forgive. When you start coming back in someone's life, they may turn you away. When you do it the second time, they may think about listening. By the third or fourth time, you end up at the dinner table with a story. And then let's say we can start from there. The biggest part is getting over your own personal ego and saying, you know what, let's try. I'm going to overcome it. It's a challenge, but I'm strong enough to do it.
And we're going to ask some more questions about the healing process
Yes.
for both the father and the child, because there's a whole lot of healing that needs to happen before we could even get to let's have a conversation about it. So before we get into that, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
It's time for the hype scenario, where actors play out real-life situations and you get advice from the staff of CLA.
Today, we'll be focusing on the three main forms of communication: assertive, aggressive, and passive. Passive communication is not having enough attitude.
Hey Tony, what's up? How you doing?
Hey girl, what's up?
Oh my goodness, thank you so much for this dress. Oh my goodness, the party was so awesome. Thank you so much for it. I got a little stain on it, but I didn't have time to clean it. So,
You do?
but thank you though. Thank you.
It's not the way I do it.
Aggressive communication is having too much attitude.
I was having fun, so I got a little stain on it, but I didn't have time to clean it. So I just thought you could take care of that because I know
I'm
like.
sorry, did you just say you got a stain on my dress?
Yeah, I got a stain on
the
it.
dress that I let you borrow?
Yeah.
You got a stain on it.
That's what I said.
That's what you're going to do. You're going to turn around, you're going to go get it
I'm
clean.
not gonna do anything.
Assertive communication is having the right attitude.
I let you borrow the dress, right? And we had like an understanding before that if I was giving it to you, then you would give it back to me in the same condition. So I'm just saying, like, if you find some time within this week, you don't have to do it right now, to go to the dry cleaners and get it clean. Because I know you've seen that dress right there.
Yeah.
And I know you're going to want to borrow it again, right?
I want to borrow it next
If you want to borrow
Here
it.
at CLA, we like to stress using assertive communication. Why, do you ask? For most of us, it's very difficult to adjust to using assertive communication without elevating to being aggressive. However, using assertive communication gets better results with less issues. I'm Benita. Thank you for watching.
Welcome back, everyone. We were just talking about having that healing process starting, because before we could even get to the point of discussing what happened before, we have to heal from it, right?
Absolutely.
So how do we begin this healing process?
Well, on the outside, if it's the male, if the father that has not been around, it's up to him to acknowledge that this is my birthright. You are my son, you are my daughter. It is what it is, and where can we go from here? You have to offer the other person, where would you like them to start? And then that person will say, we can start with tea, we can start with meeting at 15th Street, we can start at the clothespin, and then you tell that person about yourself. I was in the military, I was in the Army, I love the color red, and a lot of times I absolutely know that you'll have some commonalities because you come from my chromosomes. So cooking or something like that, we'll find something in common, and then we'll become friends. On the other side, though, there's two sides to this.
Yeah.
If I talk, the other person has to listen, the other has to be willing. But one thing I say about the other person is you have to realize that you have some pain, or you have some drama, or you have to realize there has to be a reason why everything doesn't seem to be in sync like everybody else. And you have to want to say, I want change, which sometimes for us is a little difficult.
Yeah, it can be. Because
So
we
you-
like to be in our comfort zone, and change
Stay
is
in the
getting up
comfort zone. Yeah,
out
stay in
of
the
that
comfort zone. Even though I've been slashing tires, I'm just stay right there. I bust the windows out your car, and that's good for me. Yeah. I've been arrested a couple of times, but so what? Everyone
that's
has.
what I'm used to.
Everyone has. And you have to realize something's not going right. So I want change, and that means you have to take a step forward. That other person has to be willing to take a step forward.
Okay.
Then we start talking process.
That's good. I know the audience has a couple of questions, so we're going to turn it over to Akil, who will get some audience questions.
Thanks, Jess. So our first question is from Letitia. Letitia, what's your question?
My question is, how do a mother explain to her child why their father is not around?
Can you repeat the question?
How does a mother explain to their child why daddy's not around?
I wouldn't ask a mother to explain to her child why the father's not around. I would ask her to explain that they will have their own relationship and that the father is not here and the father will explain it to you. I really don't like for them to get in the middle of another type of relationship. And I'm not saying that's easy or hard, but I'm really tired of us. We've been saying that your dad's up in Penn State when he was really at the state pen for a really long time. Sometimes we really need to be honest. We need to be able to say that maybe your dad wasn't ready to be a father. Maybe your dad wasn't ready for this, but you will discuss that with your father at one time. And then you have to pray for something like that.
I think you bring up a good point, too, when it's speaking of the absent parent. Not to portray this negative image of them, because you're speaking for the person on their behalf, but you may not know their reasoning and their actions behind it. Just like you said, like to have that, you don't want to tarnish something before someone has the opportunity to explore that relationship, because that's something they're coming to the table with.
I'm glad you brought that up. You absolutely cannot tarnish the other person. Whether you're a father and the mother has left, or your mother and the father has left, you cannot tarnish them, because the child will eventually say, if he was so bad, how did you end up with him? That also affects your self-esteem. If you call your father Sugar Honey Iced Tea, then that means you let Sugar Honey Iced Tea not only with you, between you, and you had a child by Sugar Honey Iced Tea.
Or a child for this person.
Or sometimes 2 or 3.
Yes. So what does that say about you? So then that's a whole nother argument.
Okay, let's that's the next show.
Yes, next show.
Our next question comes from Amati. Amati, what is your question?
Okay, so I actually have 2 different kind of questions. The first question would be, on the child's side of the story, how exactly would you change, from a daughter's point of view, being the little girl with the blue book bag, waiting for her father at the door, asking constantly, where's daddy, the sun's going down, what time is he coming? And as you grow up, trying to fill that void with, how would you talk to them exactly? How would you let them know how you feel when your conversations are constantly, did you see the new video game that's out? I'm gonna get that. Like, how do you feel that? Because it's emptiness. It's not really, you don't really have common interests besides what you had as a little girl. So how would you fill that void?
As a little girl, how would you fill that void? My hopes is that the family helps you fill that void. Number one, you cannot, if your mother passes away, you can't fill that void. If your father passes away, you can't fill that void. But you can find other strong comforts. And specifically for girls, we do a thing called the Daddy-Daughter Dance. It's an annual event at the Pennsylvania Convention Center. We have almost 600 people every year.
Really?
Oh, it's big. I'm talking limousines, tiaras, and everything. They're blinged out. But one of the things is that it's a daddy-daughter dance, but not all daddies and daughters come. Uncles come. Older brothers come. Grandfathers come. And I don't want you to think that that void can be filled, but it can be comforted. So you need to be able to say in your heart that this male that raised you was not positive, but you have to be able to balance that with other males that are around you that are positive. So when you are dating someone, you still have to hold them to the standards of your grandfather and your uncle. If your grandfather and your uncle went to college, then you have to hold them same standards. You just can't grab anybody to try to fill that void. And that's one of the scariest things. That's why the daddy-daughter dances also goes against domestic violence. You have to know what love is from a man. Not love, not sex, but you have to know what love is from a man. Yes, and that's what holding hands does. That's what the male role model does. That's what your uncle's supposed to do. I would gravitate towards stronger males in my community. May they be rabbis, may they be priests, may they be imams. I would gravitate towards some of those organizations and stronger male organizations and look for even a male mentor if you need be.
What's part 2 of your question, Amati?
Okay, so for the father to actually tear down their daughter's self-esteem. Okay, so scenario-wise, your father brings you a gift for Christmas, clothing-wise, and him seeing you in the clothes, he might comment on, wow, you're gaining weight, and it was you personally taking that comment in is not really coming out as a positive note. It's kind of coming out as a negative, like, well, what about my thighs are, crazy looking that you have to comment on it, or, and then your mother having to say, well, don't worry about that comment, you're beautiful as you are, and her trying to overcover what kind of, self-esteem that your father just took away from you.
You have two modes. You have victim mode and you have survivor mode. If someone comes at you with some type of attack, you have the choice between which mode you're going to take. Mm-hmm. I have the choice between accepting the negative comment or looking at the other 16 positive comments and then weighing those two. And when it comes from a parent, it's really, really strong. It's really, really heavy. It's really
so
very strong. You're talking about someone who's extremely awkward and uneducated in raising a girl. I'm a professional, I'm an expert in parenting, but I have to tell you, when my daughter came along, it was very uncomfortable for me. She wanted to do things that were outside of my zone, like gymnastics. And I just wanted her to sit and play football, but she wasn't good at that. So there's definitely going to be a lot of uncomfortableness from opposite genders. But the only thing I can say is please, if this is a young girl, please don't fill that void in your relationship. Try to fill that void before you get to your relationship, because your boyfriend can't do it, your husband can't do it, your fiance can't do it. You have to do it ahead of time. You have to say in your grades that I'm an honor roll student. You have to say in your life that I'm going to college. You have to find esteem for yourself, and then you can go out there and say, well, this is how powerful I am.
Yes, it's very important to have that self-healing before you enter any type of relationship.
Please, or else you bring them down too.
Yes, thank you so much for answering the questions that we've had today. If they can find out more, they'll find it on our website. We'll be right back.
Get ready to talk the talk with your hosts, Charles Gregory and Madam Touch, bringing you the latest news from Philadelphia and around the world. We're talking about everything from fashion to politics to music and technology. So if you can walk the walk, we're going to talk the talk.
What's going on, everybody? It's yours truly, DJ 007. I'm going to have an opportunity to hang out with Ronan Ali. Let's see what's going on with you. What's going on, bro?
Oh, man, everything.
Listen to me. I got an opportunity to listen to a lot of your music. I realize that it's a lot different than what's on the radio. So do you listen to what's on the radio, and do you purposely try to do something different, or do you just do you?
All of the above. All of the above. It starts internally, so I just do me.
Okay.
Depending on what I hear, whether internally, what I hear outside, could be a noise, could be a word that sparks something. I listen to the radio more so because it's my job.
Okay.
It's good to know your surroundings, so in case you do something that sounds like something else, you can go the other direction.
Okay.
Or you listen to the radio and who knows, you may not like it, you may like it, you may say, oh, that's somebody I like, or somebody I may want to work with, or something. I'm a music lover. I enjoy it. So it's something I may want to buy and ride to or dance to.
It's interesting that you say somebody that you might want to work with. If you had an opportunity to work with 3 artists, living or no longer with us, who would you pick?
Larry Dunn, formerly of Earth, Wind & Fire, the keyboardist.
Okay.
And ex-musical director. I mean, I'm a keyboard fanatic, so I just love whatever he did and does. KRS-One, because he's he's just a raw MC.
KRS-One.
And I don't mean like singing with or anything, just like making straight beats with him.
Okay.
Because I'm a percussionist and drummer. I just love that.
Okay.
And Layla Hathaway.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yes.
Why Layla?
And Layla Hathaway, she just has that voice. She's a comforter with her voice, and she's a monster with her voice. She knows how to use it. She's beautiful, and her lyrics as well. I mean, whether she writes them or not, however she phrases her words, and she knows how to she's like a decorator. She knows how to properly decorate the groove with her voice.
Okay. So, I see that you're wearing a wedding ring, and it makes me kind of ask you about this. Do you find it hard to separate personal time from time that you're making music or working on music? Do you find it difficult to mix the two or keep them separate? I mean, because I know you're always moving around a lot.
Well, first of all, my wife's a musician too. Wow. She's a ghetto songbird, rock and roll goddess, and she plays guitar and sings. Our children.
So she's in it too, then.
She's in it too. She's into it. Now, when I try to do stuff for myself, oh yeah, it can be difficult because my children like to play everything I'm playing. If I'm at the piano or something, trying to make something, I have a video on YouTube. I'm trying to write something. My son throws a beach ball at my head.
Wow.
Or if I'm trying to play my drums, he wants to jump on the drum set. My daughter wants to just get in and sing. So yeah, it can be quite difficult.
That's interesting. Let me ask you this: as an artist, as a professional artist, one that travels and everything like that, would you encourage or not encourage your children to be a part of this industry? Because I mean, the industry is rough. Music industry is difficult. But would you encourage them if you felt them as though that they had that calling?
I encourage them to be artists. As far as being in the industry, I would encourage it if they had the proper tools and the mental setting to deal with the industry.
Okay.
Yeah, it's two separate things, really.
Wow. How do you show the separation?
Well, there's many a person who's an artist who's not in the industry, and they thrive quite well. A lot of times it's just what you do. They may very well be doctors, but on their spare time, if you call it that, depending on what their culture is or where they're at, they're gourd makers. They make pottery, they're dancers, whatever the case. And in a lot of cases, having a quote-unquote job or something separate allows more creative space for their art. A lot of times if people are caught up in the quote-unquote industry of the art they do, they get involved in industry stuff like they say it is music and business, two separate things. If you can merge the two, great. If you know how to balance it, great.
I know that you're always traveling, you're always on the road, but I read that you had an opportunity to go to the White House and perform.
Right.
Not everybody gets a chance to do that. You gotta tell me, what is it like to go inside the White House?
To go inside the White House, a lot of high security that they check even beforehand. But if you're raised right, you know how to conduct yourself properly.
You raised right. So if you get in there wilding out, you're gonna be out the door.
Oh yeah. Most definitely. You probably won't even get in it.
Yo, so how many times have you performed at the White House?
It was twice.
Okay. Yo, that's gotta be like an amazing feeling. Like you gotta tell everybody, like, yo, I was at the White House.
Yeah, if they ask. No, I'm just playing. No, but seriously.
If they ask.
No, it was amazing, man. It was real cool. One for George W. Bush's congressional ball. This was his last 4 months in, I guess. Okay. And then shortly after that, his wife's high school reunion. She flew everybody up from Texas or wherever she went to high school at and had them at the party.
Yo, so you were at the White House twice and performed. That's amazing, man. I just want to tell you, as a DJ and having an opportunity to play all kinds of music, I really, really like playing your music when I have an opportunity to play it because to me it's real and I don't get a chance to do that often. So that's definitely dope, man. Listen to me. Everybody, make sure that you check out Ronan Ali. He's all over the internet. If you don't know about him, you're behind. Catch up. Yours truly, 007 The Hype. Let's go.
I gotta have it.
Thank you, DJ 007, with that interview with Ronan. Thank you so much for joining us, Joel Austin. Thank you for all our audience. If you would like to learn more about the music you heard on today's show, or if you would like to be a member of our studio audience, or like to learn more about our monthly lifestyle workshop, please visit us on our website on thehypetvshow.com. I'm Jessica Charles, and for Courtney, Akil, and the whole Hype team, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Good looking now.
Beautiful.
Please tell me what's your name.